I want to start off this episode talking about news out of Washington, D.C. in the United States. Good news. For many years, I've discussed the safety of nail lamps that create UV. Now, that includes both the LED style and the fluorescent style, because both of these release UV. The LED style nail lamps release much greater intensity UV than fluorescent style nail lamps. But even so, studies show that the skin exposure is about the same. Since LED nail lamps cure faster, the hand spends less time under the lamp. Several studies by independent laboratories and world-leading experts had confirmed the safety of both fluorescent and LED-style lamps, as I've discussed several times in a series. But now there's new information that once again confirms the safety of nail lamps. All these studies that I mentioned demonstrate that UV carrying nail lamps are safe, despite repeated attacks by the misinformed media, fearmongers, and of course, TV celebrity doctors. What started this controversy about nail lamps in the first place? In 2009, two dermatologists from sunny Texas claimed that skin cancers on two patients' hands may have been caused by UV nail lamps, and they wrongly compared tanning beds to nail lamps. Their flawed rationale was based completely on an ignorance of UV sources. Oddly, one patient was a 48-year-old woman who had only been to a salon 8 times over the course of a year, and according to these dermatologists, had pre-existing moderate recreational exposure to sunlight. Yes, just 8 times. These dermatologists jumped to incorrect conclusions despite having no evidence to support their misguided suspicions. Now, not surprisingly, the news media ran hard with this story. They began a long and relentless negative attack on salons that continues to this day. Naysayers remain in steadfast denial about the safety of UV nail lamps, despite straightforward evidence of safety. Now, at long last, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, also known as the FDA, has recognized what scientific researchers have been saying for many years. UV nail lamps are safe as used in salons. In July of 2017, the FDA released a statement. I'll quote, "The FDA views nail curing lamps as low risk when used as directed by the label. For example, a 2013 published study indicates that even for the worst case lamp that was evaluated, 36 minutes of daily exposure to this lamp was below the occupational exposure limit for UV radiation. Note, these limits only apply to normal, healthy people, and not to people who may have a condition that makes them extra sensitive to UV radiation. To date, the FDA has not received any reports of burns or skin cancer attributed to these lamps." And I'll post a link to the report so you can read it for yourself. It's a pretty good report. Now, in this case, the radiation they're speaking of has nothing to do with radioactivity. But instead, they're using the word in the sense that many objects can radiate heat or light. Light bulbs, for instance, radiate light. Now, the FDA referred to a 2013 study authored by 2 world-class photobiologists, Drs. John Dowdy and Robert Sayer. Unlike other studies, their research adhered exactly to the international standards for testing UV devices. Their study provides conclusive evidence to demonstrate that these 2 dermatologists were incorrect, and UV nail lamps are not like tanning beds. Drs. Dowdy and Sayer confirmed that by saying, "When UV nail lamps evaluated in this report are compared together with these earlier sun lamp computations, we find that UV nail lamps are vastly less hazardous." Their paper cited research demonstrating that the natural nail plate is a very efficient blocker of UV and protects the nail bed itself. According to the authors, the nail plate's natural UV resistance is comparable to the UV resistance provided by an SPF 40 sunscreen. Also cited was additional research to demonstrate that the backside of the hand is 4 times more resistant to UV than the forehead or the cheek, making the backside of the hand the most UV resistant part of the body. Since the measured UV exposure is so low, a person could go to their workplace and once every day put their hand under a UV nail lamp for 36 minutes. And this would still be within the permissible daily occupational exposure limit for workers, according to the applicable international standards. Obviously, a salon client exposure is much lower, just a tiny fraction in comparison. Client's exposure is only twice per month, ranging from 2 to 10 minutes. Because both fluorescent tube and LED style lamps were studied, this provides powerful evidence to support the safety of UV nail lamps. These researchers put things into perspective when they concluded, it is highly improbable that even the most dedicated nail salon client or avid home user would approach this level of exposure. Says it pretty well. Now, when sharing his opinion about the testing, one of the researchers, Dr. Sayer, said that said this. This UV source probably belongs to the least risky of all categories. UV nail lamps are safer than natural sunlight or sun lamps. Now, a second study from medical researchers Markova and Weinstock of Massachusetts General Hospital and the Albert School at Brown University, both very respected colleges, also confirm the safety of these lamps. And they conclude conclusively, or state conclusively, that UV nail lamps do not appear to significantly increase lifetime risk of skin cancer. Now, also noted in the study is that doctors often use UV medical lamps as a therapeutic skin treatment. And they compare these devices, these medical devices that had been in long use and had long safe use, to nail lamps. And they stated that one would need over 250 years of weekly UV nail sessions to experience the same risk exposures. And these same authors concluded that dermatologists and primary care physicians may reassure patients regarding the safety of these devices. These two studies confirm the original statements released by the Nail Manufacturers Council on Safety of the Professional Beauty Association when they concluded in their initial study in 2009, which claimed these lamps are safe as directed. Unfortunately, some misinformed individuals have ignored the body of evidence that has all along demonstrated that UV nail lamps are safe as used in salons. These uninformed opinions have created significant problems for nail technicians everywhere by needlessly alarming and frightening away many potential clients. Now, we can't change the past, but we can join together and join forces and be proactive to work to ensure that the facts are made known. Excuse me again. Now that the FDA has weighed in on this matter, perhaps the misinformed naysayers will be silenced. We can hope.